Good day and welcome to South Africa's office, where we will be bringing you headlines for today with me, Marietjie Bothma, Untomza Mazulu, Zinti Ntomza se KZN. Wherever you are in the world, we say welcome to Melang Sanbonani. In our headlines this morning, Mfuleni mom fears police could mishandle a minor's rape case. 63 more COVID deaths as Mkhize warns of rising infections in 7 provinces. Concerns about corruption after Transnet's visit to Cape Town. In our first story this morning, Mfuleni mom fears police could mishandle a minor's rape case. A distressed Mfuleni mother has been left worried over whether her minor daughter will get swift justice after alleging that a police officer asked her if her child's father looked like the type of guy who would rape his own child. The mother, whose identity is being withheld to protect the child, told the Cape Times that she noticed bloodstains on her daughter's underwear after she returned from visiting her father. The child had been with him for about a week. My housemaid called informing me that she was left with my child. At the time I was at a salon, but the beautician allowed me to go and fetch my daughter. While at the salon, I noticed blood stains on her panty because of the way she was sitting. This got me very worried. When we got home, she ran to the bathroom and I followed her. She struggled to sit down, and when she stood up from the toilet seat, after urinating, I saw blood drops. Rape survivor says police told her to investigate her own case. 3 life terms for Nigerian man who plied child with drugs and turned her into a sex slave welcomed. Life sentence for Limpopo man who raped a 10-year-old cousin. The mother said at first the child refused to speak and was crying, but after begging and promising not to shout at her, she eventually told her about being raped. I got someone who transported us to the Tutuzela Care Center at Karl Bremer Hospital. A number of tests were conducted, and a J88 was done by a doctor who asked my daughter what happened. Her story did not change. It was exactly the same as she told me. Police were called while we were at the hospital, and around midnight, an investigating officer from Kuilsrivier arrived. At the time, my daughter was asleep, so I told him the story. But the first thing he asked was if I think her father looks like the type of guy who would do that to his own child. This was uncalled for and very insensitive, especially coming from a police officer. My child knows her father, and her story has been consistent. Due to the nature of the crime and the age of the victim, a specialist has to be brought on board to assist with the investigation. It is worth mentioning that SAPS is committed to ensuring that a strong case is presented before court. It is on this basis that pertinent details about what happened to the child are best left to a court of law. Trout urged the mother to report the comments made by the investigating officer to the police management. Child lobby group Lita Labantu spokesperson Siabulela Monakali said, "The sad reality is that the majority of child rape of offenders are known to the victims. It is either a relative, friend, or someone known to the family." In our second story this morning, 63 more COVID deaths as Mkhize warns of rising infection in 7 provinces. Johannesburg Health Minister Zweli Mkhize has warned of rising infections, notability in the Free State, Gauteng, the Northern Cape and Northwest Province. He said districts in 7 provinces had seen a rise in infections in the past 14 days. Mkhize announced 63 more coronavirus-related deaths on Thursday night, with the Free State with 21 deaths, Gauteng 17, Western Cape 6, Eastern Cape 6, KwaZulu-Natal 5, Northern Cape 5, and Mpumalanga 3 accounting for the deaths. This takes the number of confirmed COVID deaths to 54,620. Mkhize said the areas with rising infections were flagged as under observation by the NICD, and a notable rise has been noted in the past 14 days. Worrying rise in detection of COVID-19 cases at ports of entry. South Africa's COVID-19 death climbed to 54,557 after 46 more succumbed to the virus. Travel from India to South Africa possible through connecting flights while India battles the rapid spread of COVID. DAEFF call on government to ban India-linked travel. Gauteng concerned about third wave, while Mkhize worries about ports of entry. Although some of these districts may have relatively low case incidence, the significant rise in percentage changes should be taken as a serious warning. All districts listed below have had an average rise of 20% or more in the past 14 days. Mpumalanga, Nkangala, Gert Sibande. Northwest, Dr. Ruth Segomotsi Mapoti, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Bujanalo Platinum. Northern Cape, it's Pixley, Kaseme, Ngawu, Francis Bart, and Western Cape is Winelands and Overberg. Mkhize commended the Eastern Cape as none of their districts were flagged as under observation at the time. This does not mean that they are not getting new infections, but it does mean they have maintained a plateau, which is very encouraging. In our third story this morning, as we have mentioned earlier this week, concerns about corruption after Transnet's visit in Cape Town. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises said it was happy with the oversight visit and conduct that was conducted at the Transnet in Bellville. However, it was a concern about the legacy of corruption within the entity. The committee conducted an oversight visit to Transnet operations, Transnet Freight Rail and Transnet Engineering in Bellville on Wednesday to assess the impact of the infrastructure building program and developmental initiatives implemented to advance the objectives of the government. Transnet Engineering Chief Executive Ralph Mills said they have 145 depots around the country that specialize in maintenance, and they had provided the committee with an example of the type of work they do and will be doing going forward. Miles said the first depot visit was the locomotive depot, where they maintain and service both diesel and electric locomotives. He said the second depot visit was the wagons, where they maintained and supported the wagon fleet. Miles said they have been affected by the vandalism of infrastructure, with criminals and vandals stealing headlines and rails. Siyabonga Kama denies Gigaba's influence in this Transnet appointment. Transnet was unable to meet unions to wage the demands. However, they said they are putting many preventative measures in place and have escalated security to make it a much higher priority throughout the group. What we are doing as an organization is very important, because if Transnet fails, South Africa fails, because we are linked to absolutely every part of the economy at the end of the day, so we have to be successful. 2 people missing, farm workers evacuated as storm keeps lashing through Western Cape. 2 people are missing and 30 farm workers are being evacuated in River Shonerenda as a storm continues to take a heavy toll on the Western Cape, with people dying in Bonnievale. The Overberg, specifically Bredasdorp, Struisbaai, Rivier Sonderend, and the surrounding areas continue to be hardest hit by the storm that made landfall on Tuesday evening, with many areas still flooded. James Brent Steyn, the spokesperson for Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, MEC Anton Bredel, said on Thursday afternoon in the Struisbaai area about 109 millimeters of rain fell yesterday, including hail. The SA Weather Services predicts that the bad weather will continue until Saturday, and while less rain is predicted for the city of Cape Town, a warning has been issued for heavy rain in Oudtshoorn. Heavy rain is also expected to continue over the Cape Winelands District, Hessequi and Ladysmith municipalities until Saturday. Mulgus Point not operational until further notice. Due to current and predicted weather conditions, the pond will need to be anchored up the access slope to avoid being washed away. The pond will not be able to ferry vehicles and passengers across the river during this time. Mulgus in the Southern Cape is cut off due to impassable roads. Contingency plans are in place for emergencies through overbooked disaster management. No attempts must be made to leave the area as roads have become dangerous, said Steyn. Due to a lot of water in the catchment areas, it is predicted that the Breda River and other rivers in the affected areas will be experiencing higher than normal flood levels during the next 24 hours. People in low-lying areas close to the rivers are urged to be on alert for severe flooding. The Trado Pass between Bardel and Swellendam is closed due to current weather conditions, which has resulted in a rockfall. A Struisbaai home submerged in water. 2 people died in floodwater in Bonnievale on the R317 last night after being trapped in an overturned vehicle. Emergency services officials and police divers were dispatched to the scene to remove the 2 bodies. Search and rescue efforts are continuing for the 2 missing persons, one in Stormsvlei and the other one in Riviersonderend. Multiple rescue efforts had to be conducted and on process in the area. A mother and her 3 children were rescued in Stormvlei. 2 men were rescued in Riviersonderend. 2 medical evacuations are ongoing in Riviersonderend. 2 men were rescued in the Greyton Riviersonderend area. The evacuation of farm workers is from a farm in the Riviersonderend area. In addition, the Mulgus community has been cut off by the rising Breda Rivier and is at risk of being flooded. The rising water levels is being monitored by the Department of Water and Sanitation, said Steyn. In our next story this morning, police not aware of arrest of ATM robbers by Strand community, Cape Town. The Strand Neighborhood Watch has made inroads in curbing residents being robbed while using ATMs after 3 suspects were arrested red-handed on Tuesday in Strand Square. The criminals had allegedly been terrorizing residents in the area and were allegedly wanted for other crimes as well. The suspects were caught after a call came in via a neighborhood watch radio network about a group of suspicious characters who were hanging around an ATM at Strand Square. Strand Neighborhood Watch members, along with CID officers of Secure Rights, responded to see what the problem was. When the suspects saw the officials, when they jumped into a Mercedes-Benz and fled. Our members followed at a safe distance, all the time relying the current location of the Mercedes, which was racing through stop streets and red traffic lights. They raced through Gun Street trying to reach the N2, but this is where AM security officers monitoring the radio joined the pursuit. SBV, working closely with the cops after CIT got kidnapped, strapped and with explosives. The suspects were detained and handed over to responding SAPS members from the Strand and Somerset West. It was ascertained that the vehicle and suspects were wanted for other cases in the peninsula, the Neighborhood Watch had said. However, police spokesperson Andre Trout could not confirm the arrest. No one was detained there either. If the incident occurred in Strand, the case must be registered in Strand, irrespective of who responded to it, he said. In our next story, suspect in court for allegedly killing 2 Kraaifontein police officers. The case against Mxoleleni Sikala, 32, accused of murdering Kraaifontein police officers, has been postponed to the 4th of August. Sikala, who faced 2 counts of murder, 1 of attempted murder and robbery with the aggravation circumstances, appeared at the Blue Down Magistrates Court yesterday. He's accused of killing 2 police officers, Nankwazo Ndogo, 46, and Ninwawa Breakfast, 28, 2 months ago. National Prosecuting Authorities NPA spokesperson Erin Tabazalila said the case has been postponed for further investigations. The 2 officers, Mboko and Breakfast, were allegedly ambushed by a group of suspects while on patrol duties in Pumla Street, Blokombos, where they came under fire. The officers were declared dead at the scene and their official firearms were stolen. In our last story this morning, woman from Mali gives birth to 9 babies. Wow. Sissa, a woman from Mali, has been expecting to give birth to 7 children. Scans had missed 2 of them. Mali Minister of Health and Social Development said a Malian woman gave birth to 9 babies in what could have been the world record. Halima Kaisa had been expected to have 7 newborns. Ultrasound sessions had failed to spot 2 of her babies. The newborns, 5 girls and 4 boys, the mother are all doing well, Dr. Fanta Sebi said in an announcement about the births. The babies were born in Morocco, where Sisa was taken for specialist care in late March. Her multiple fetal pregnancy had been closely watched in Mali, where the government helped pay for her medical evacuation to Morocco. Camera crews recorded her arrival. Sisa, only 25 years of age, gave birth by cesarean section, and doctors were surprised to find 2 more babies than expected, the health minister said. The agency announcement of the successful births was welcomed on social media in Mali, but some also urged the government to improve the standard of medical care in the poor West African country, noting the expense of such evacuations. Professor Yusuf Alouai, medical doctor of the private Ain Borja clinic in Casablanca, Morocco, said Kissa gave birth, said the babies were born at 30 weeks. The newborns weighed between 500 grams and 1 kilogram. He told a journalist, Sisa is in intensive care, but her condition is stable. Alouai said, explaining that she suffered severe hemorrhage related to the expansion of her uterus. During her stay at the clinic, doctors sought to delay the birth for 2 weeks to give the fetus additional time to develop. The clinic has deployed a team of 30 staff members to aid in the mother's delivery and care for her 9 children. A nurse takes care of 1 of the 9 babies protected in incubators at the maternity ward of the clinic in Casablanca, Morocco on Wednesday. The mother was taken to Morocco for special care. Well, that is all we have for you in the news internationally and right here in our offices from our studios in South Africa. Do go to our social media pages and do follow us on YouTube and comment on our news and also on our stories. We would love to hear from you. This is Marietjie Bothma, Ntomza Mazulu, Zindi Ntomza KZN, right here from South Africa, saying good day and God bless.